Praise. All right, so had a friend to ask me to do a video about why did the United States of America have to get. So I wanted to speak on that. And yeah, this is going to be in English. So mi amigos in Argentina, disculpa, otra vez. Pablo, hola. Mel, what's going on, Mel? Jose, in English. Paula, English. All right, so Mel, thank you, sis, for asking me to do a video on this. I'm going to do this video in that I don't cover, Mel, and anybody else, hit me up so that I can answer those. But I wanted to go over this question because what happened, you know, I'm going to get it started in a few minutes, just waiting on people. Christine, hey sis. Pablo, hola Pablo. Ese is in English, disculpa. Mi español es muy malo, pero otra vez in español. All right. So, but if you all have questions, make sure you leave them in the boxes. I want to answer them about this history that we are missing, especially with respect to melanated people. This is some information we really need to know. I had a sister. Hola. Okay, good. You've been waiting on this. Good. So make sure you ask me questions, Christine, in the event that I don't get a chance to, or I don't cover it. All right, so give me a second. But yeah, this is some information that history that we just don't know, and it puts us in a negative place in a lot of different areas, especially when we keep thinking, oh, we're victims. We, the Caucasians just doing this just because. All right, nothing is happenstance. And the issue is that we don't know a lot of what took place in history. So what happened was I had a sister to get started, but I had a sister to inform me about this organization called the United States of America. Now they're claiming to be the government republic. Okay, and I respect that. I don't know because I'm still looking into them and what they're all about. But one of the things that I noticed when I went through the website is that they were not telling the entire history. And I need to say this because, nothing that I speak is, that I'm trying to be negative against anyone. And this includes Caucasians, this includes the brother, this includes the sister, anybody else. But one of the things that what I found is that, like, the Caucasian is never going to give you the full history of what truly happened in the past. I don't care how well-meaning they might seem or might be, they're not telling you the whole history. So that's what I want to get on. And that's why this question came up about why, because we've been told that, the Constitution was written by Caucasians and that the Caucasians just came in and took over everything. Well, let's understand this. It did not happen that way. And I'm going to give you information so that you can go and look it up for yourself. And then you can see and put together, because you're going to have to, basically the history has been rewritten. So you're going to be able to go back and reread this information for yourself and start to put together and understand what really happened. Now, everything that I'm telling you is according to my research. I don't want you to believe me at all. Do not believe anything anybody is saying. But when I give you the information, go and look up the resources for yourself and then get the facts. And you can put together your own truth. Can you all, if you all can't hear me, okay, please let me know. All right, so I'm gonna get started. First of all, the question states, why did the United States of America have to get permission from Morocco to do business in North America? If the United States of America, quote unquote, is a part of North America and the Caucasians were running it and it was just theirs to do what they wanted to do, why would they have to go through Morocco? Now, the document that I tell people to go and look up is the Treaty of Peace and Friendship that took place between the United States and Morocco. This, hola, Oba, Hello, Oba. Yeah, so this is going to give you clear insight. When you go and look this peace and friendship treaty up, you can see clearly that the United States had to go through Morocco in order to get permission to do business in North America. So let's understand what happened. Now, as I said, the first document that I deal with is the Constitution. The Constitution, let's understand this Constitution, because the original Constitution for the United States of America was written by the original people of the Americas. Who were the original people? Now, they're going to show you Indians and what do they call them? Native Americans. They're showing you this in the media. Those are not the original people of the Americas. The original people of the Americas were dark-skinned, copper-colored, woolly-haired people like me and like my other brothers and sisters out there running around calling themselves Black and African-American. You ain't from Africa. Your people came from here. Unless you came right off the boat over here, you are not no African-American. We have been lied to, and for very, very good reason. Okay, because the minute we understand who we are, then we will understand that we are on our own land. And I'm not just talking about North America. I'm talking about North, Central, and South America. America, Ameri is a term that is Hebrew. It means copper colored. All right. Ika, I-C-A or I-K-A, means land of the indigenous people. America means land of the copper colored people. I'm going to get my penny right now so y'all can see. Because if you can put a penny up to your skin and are a native, all right, this is a penny. Can't see it. Barely, because I'm a copper colored people. This is my land, baby. America means land of the copper colored people. So understand this. The original writers of the Constitution had already been here and had already been using the same laws to govern the country or the land of North America long before the 1600s. So what ended up happening was Britain or England had already been in the Americas, and they had established corporations. One of them was the Virginia Company. Look this up. The other one, I think it was the East Indian Company or the West Indian Company, and they had already established them here in North America. Now, the problem was they were being disrespectful as you know, people of England, and I don't want to say they because we don't even understand who they are. So what was happening is England had established corporations here and in the Americas, and the natives had, you know, had agreed, okay, and they'd made treaties, and they said, well, okay, be on the land, no problem. But England had constantly been taking over land that wasn't designated to them. They were being disrespectful, and they were causing wars and creating wars amongst the native people of the land, the original people of the land. Now, when we go back, you can kind of see there are a lot of documents that were put out by the Pope and in England to take over land and take over people. And this was before the 1600s. The Moors are on the $2 bill as a part of the congressional body. Okay. So, and I want to get to that too, about the Moors and where they came into play. So anyway, when England was in here and they were constantly pushing the natives out of land that wasn't designated to them and breaking the treaties. Well, what ended up happening was the natives realized they needed some muscle. They needed somebody else to. Now, if we remember at this time, the Moroccans were, they had taken over all of North Africa. They had taken over Spain and Italy and a whole bunch of other countries. So now here they have come, and they have a lot of muscle. So now the natives or the original people of the land, they needed some muscle. So they entered into agreement with Morocco. in order to get some muscle to keep England from treading over territory that doesn't belong to them. And so now when they create the United States of America, this is like a corporation. It had to be incorporated in 1777. Now, and it did have a constitution. The Constitution for the United States of America, it's important to remember that the Constitution for the United States of America, because that was the original. And now, and I say that because what you're going to see is dates. We got to look at the dates of when they're saying these things were created. You're going to see the Constitution of the United States of America. And they're going to tell you that's created in 1787 or whatever. But let's understand this. Because I'm trying. It's a lot of information to cover, and I'm trying to get it in within a fast period. But let's understand this. When there's a corporation created, it must have a constitution. You can't just create a corporation and there's no bylaws, because all the Constitution is this is our laws, this is what we stand for, this is what we're about. And you're not going to create an incorporation. And this is not just this, that hadn't been going on today. If you've ever created a corporation or incorporated something, you know you got to have some kind of bylaws, which is a constitution that deals with the laws and what you're about. Now, the other thing, when you create a corporation, it must have a president, it must have a vice president, a secretary, a chair, and all of the other offices in order for it to be seen as a true corporation. All right, so now in 1777, the United States of America was created. And it had to have a constitution, and it had to have officers and presidents. Now, I bring that up because what we always hear about is George Washington being the first president. Well, George Washington didn't become president until 1789. The United States was created in 1777. That's 13 years. That's a long time. Now, you know, once again, there has to be a president. And they always tell you about the Continental Congress, but they don't mention nothing that happened during the Continental Congress era, and that was 13 years. Let's understand why. Because there were presidents. As a matter of fact, there were at least 6 presidents before George Washington, and they were all melanated. Most were from Morocco. They don't want you to know that, because then the question becomes, wait a minute, damn, it was melanated people running the country? Yes. Our history does not start with slavery in this country. We were running it before they got here. As a matter of fact, I'm going to get on that. Just remind me. But here's the deal. The land needed Morocco for muscle. They made agreements with Morocco to help them keep England at bay, or keep them from trying to push their way into the country and do whatever they felt like they wanted to do. So when they created the United States of America government, all right, they gave that title to Morocco. They gave that corporation, quote unquote, to Morocco to govern. And so Morocco created all of these other bylaws, which was making anybody coming into the Americas, if you want to dock your boat in the Americas, or even, you know, run your ships between the Americas and England or any other part of Africa, if you didn't go through Morocco and pay them their tax, the term booty comes from, where they like, give me some booty, that comes from that. We're gonna go into that later too. But if you weren't paying them to come into North America, or to be treading on the waters near it, they seized the ships, and they were going to sell any and everything on that ship. And most of the time, these ships, especially when they're coming from England or coming from these other places, they had Caucasian slaves on those ships. And so then you've got the Moroccans that were seizing these ships, and they was breaking them. All right, they were breaking the people. Most of them were British Moors coming over from Britain or sailing over from Britain. And they were just breaking their back. It's like, hey, we're going to take your stuff. If you're not going to pay, we're taking it. And that's what Morocco was doing. Now, let me get to these slaves that these ships are carrying. It was definitely the British Moors that were peddling slaves, Caucasian slaves, in droves in the Americas, not just North America, but all of the Americas. And they were bringing them in from Sicily, Europe at the time was considered Africa. They bring in a Caucasian in, them was the Africans. You wouldn't see no Moors taking on the title African because the Africans were the Caucasians. So let's understand this. When they're bringing these slaves over in droves, they're pulling them as children. They just going and grabbing these people, these children, Caucasians, and they're bringing them into the United States as slaves in droves. All right, so I mean, now look up white slaves. That's going to give you an idea, white slaves in the America, so that you can get information on where all these slaves were coming from. The Manhattan, there's a Staten Island. Staten Island, a lot of them were coming in from Staten Island as slaves. You can look that up. Look up the Moorish bathhouses, because this is another thing, that Moors were making deals with other nations to bring in Caucasian women as concubine. Okay, so this is after the original people of the land had made deals with the Moors to come in and help protect the land. Well, hell, they start bringing in Caucasian women. Now, I need to go back, because one of the things that we don't understand is, you know, again, everything has been whitewashed, quote unquote whitewashed, meaning they're trying to put up Caucasians as the ones who were running things from the beginning. Let's understand this. Mid-1800s, the Queen of England was melanated. These British people coming and sailing their ships, they were amalgamated Moors, meaning they was melanated. All right, so they were mixed with Caucasian, but they were Moors. So the thing is, we're not understanding when you say pilgrim, and you were talking about British settlers, or we're talking about quote unquote Christians. Those were not Caucasians. Those were melanated people. And you can even look this up, because at this time, the Caucasians were mostly slaves. They were not holding high positions. And this is just, these are facts, and especially in government about, if y'all have any questions right now, please let me know so I can answer them, if you're still with me. All right, so when we're talking about the Caucasians and what they were doing now, the term slave, this is another thing we get stuck on, because we hear the term slave and we automatically think, oh, they talking about melanated people and we just descendants of slaves. You're not no descendants of the slaves, because the term slave originates from the term Slavic or Slovakian. Those were Caucasian people. That is where the term originates. The original slaves in the Americas were Caucasians. Again, they were children that were being pulled out of their countries by these people calling themselves British Moors and Moroccan Moors. That's where they came from. They were the original slaves. And so when you go and read and you keep seeing the term slave, especially when you read it in the Constitution, and you know, we have been trained to automatically think that meant melanated person, that is not the truth. Melanated people were running the country of North America all the way up into the mid-1800s, because once again, the Continental Congress was totally melanated people, mostly from Morocco. Now, George Washington was the first crony for England. He was a traitor. He was trying to infiltrate the government, which is what they've been doing this from the beginning. They infiltrate the government or whatever organization from the inside, and then they just corrupt it. And that is what happened. George Washington was the first crony. He was not a Caucasian. He was a Moor. So you got to understand this. You're not going to have, and that's the problem. They show us images and we get stuck on these images. And then we don't understand. And see, they never really say, oh, George Washington was a Caucasian. They don't say that. They just show you an image and you believe the image. But George Washington was an amalgamated Moor. So understand, you got all these melanated Moroccans, running the government, and then you got these Caucasians, which are mostly slaves. And so you ain't gonna just come into be a Caucasian and then come into the government of a whole bunch of melanated people and just flow with it. It's not gonna work like that. They have to send in, especially when you're trying to infiltrate, you got to send in somebody who looks like the people you're trying to infiltrate. George Washington was not a Caucasian. As a matter of fact, Lincoln was not a Caucasian. He was a melanated male, an amalgamated Moor. As a matter of fact, Lincoln and Washington and everybody in between them were amalgamated Moors. Moors, they were melanated people. Now, when we do our research, yes, Mel, you are an indigenous. No, even as a matter of fact, that term indigenous, because here's the thing, like I don't use the words Aboriginal. I try to stay away from them, Aboriginal and indigenous, because those ab means not. So Aboriginal is not original. Indigenous means not. You understand? So they tricking us with all these words as well. Like I said, not only Black and African American, but even when we go back to the terms like indigenous and Aboriginal, yeah, that means not. You're not indigenous. You're not original. So that's why I keep saying the original people. So yeah, so you're an original American, an original copper-colored person of this land. All of the land, North, South, and Central Americas. So what ended up happening was, yeah, the original American. That's what I say. And as a matter of fact, on my declarations, I had to change it where, the Aboriginal, is original American. And, okay, I was just looking at the notes. All right, so, but yeah, because I want to, Abraham Lincoln and all the people in between them, they were Moors. Now they were traders because they were all working for England, and they were all related by blood. Now I need to go back to as we're speaking on this, the Constitution, and there were three things that the Constitution did that we need to be aware of when it was created by the original people of the land. The first thing, one of the things that the Constitution did was it created the Washington, D.C. Washington, D.C. is a 10-mile by 10-mile square block. Now, if you understand, look up the four-corner rule. Now, the four-corner rule is like, it's there, but it's not really there. Now, Washington, D.C. is a part of the land of North America, but it is not a part of the United States of America. It is a separate country, and it was created for the purpose of a neutral place, so that when different states in the United States had issues, they can go to this neutral place and they can settle their disputes. Well, the Queen of England didn't forget about the fact that this was a foreign country. Or England went and created these different corporations that would eventually usurp authority from the original United States of America. So let's understand this. They incorporated, the United States in all capital letters. Anything in all capital letters, that's a corporation. They incorporated U.S. and U.S.A. So they incorporated several different corporations that are really not a part of the government, but they made it seem as though it is, and it has usurped authority. So people think that they're voting for the president of the United States of America, but Bush and Obama and Barack and Clinton and whoever this other guy is now, I don't know his name, I forget his name because I try not to remember. But anyway, all these people, they are not presidents of the United States of America. They're presidents of the corporation called United States, all capital letters, or U.S.A. So we're not understanding that there are many United States. One that my friend informed me of that says they are the United States of America government. republic. I'm not saying they are or they're not. What I am saying is this. These were Caucasians that were presenting this information. What we have to understand, and this is why I'm bringing this up. Let me go over these two things. The other two things that the Constitution did. The Constitution, the original Constitution, was saying that it does not allow anybody who has the title of royalty to be president of the United States, of America. That's what it did not want. You cannot be president of the United States, because then that would bring in royalty, and that's how they control. Well, you got George Washington was the first crony, and they found a way to bring in royalty into the United States to control it. Even though they're still not president of the United States of America government, they're president of the corporation. But y'all believe it. Y'all believe they're president of the United States of America republic. Now, the third thing, because I need to get on this so we can understand, when Caucasians are presenting this information, I don't have an issue with them. I'm just telling you, we need to understand these things that the Constitution set up. Now, one of the biggest things that the Constitution did when the original people created it is it put the land in land patents. All of North America, and likely Central and South America as well, but definitely all of North America is in land patents to this day. This means that the Queen of England and the Pope and all them, they cannot get their hands on the land. All they do is they create fictitious corporations and make you think they have control of the land. But the land belongs to the descendants of the original people that created the Constitution. Why is that important? It's important because the original people don't know who the hell they are. And so you going out buying land and thinking you buying a deed or buying a title, it already belongs to you. They are selling you some kind of renter's agreement. You don't own it. And when you read it, you understand that you really never own it. And so because we don't know who we are, these corporations call themselves United States Corporation and all of that. They go and they're controlling the land when they really don't have control. And the only way they maintain of the land stay asleep. As long as the original people, the original copper-colored people stay asleep and they don't claim who they are, they don't know who they are, and they keep calling themselves Black and African American, and they keep running around asking for reparations and why you don't. Okay, then that's why they keep control of the land. All right, now I spoke about, with Caucasians. Understand this: when a melanated person who knows who they are, they can make their declarations and they can be a sovereign. You are a state. In fact, you are a walking state, and that makes you a sovereign. However, a Caucasian has to be up under somebody's jurisdiction because they don't have sovereignty in this land. If they want to be sovereign, they got to go back to where they came from. And that is not a diss. That's not trying to be hard. That's not trying to be disrespectful, but that is just the facts. That's why they are wanting to create these corporations, the United States of America Republic, and they want to stand under it, and they're not going to tell you the true history about the Moors and their involvement in this. They're not going to tell you people are. They're not going to tell you the true history about who created the Constitution, because if you understand who created the Constitution, then you understand who has the true rights to the land. It ain't the Moors. It ain't the Caucasians. It's the original people of the land who know who they are. It ain't the people who call themselves Native Americans and Indians. Those are not the original people of this land. When you understand who wrote the Constitution, when you understand why they had to go through Morocco to get permission to do business in the United States, when you understand who they were, then all the truth starts to come out. all the truth about who the real people of the land are, all the truth about who really owns it, that comes out. And that is what we need to start understanding and start asking these questions about, wait a minute, this doesn't sound right. Who, like the Constitution, the original Constitution, I need to go back to this because they want to tell you, please, if you have any questions, ask me in the box, because I do want to answer questions. But they want to, you know, tell you that the Constitution was written, it was ratified in 1878, or what is 1778, 2 years before George Washington. So that would be 1786, 1786, excuse me, 1786, 2 years before. When the United States was already running for, what, 11 years prior to that, there had to be a constitution. But they don't want you to look at the original Constitution. They want you to focus on this one in 1787? That's the one they want you to look at. That's not the original. That's the Constitution of the United States of America. The Constitution for the United States of America had to be written before 1777. Why? Because the United States was incorporated in 1777, and when it's incorporated, it has to have a constitution. You can't have an organization without a constitution, without a president, without a secretary, without a chair. You're not going to be seen as an incorporated entity or a true entity. You can't do that today. And those rules didn't just start today. They were going on way before time. So that's the thing that we need to get and understand about what's going on with respect to the history, and understand the role that our people played, Moors, and even because even the original people played a role in enslaving these Caucasians they were bringing into this land. And we got proof and facts of how many Caucasians were being brought into the country. But you don't have any facts showing that they brought all these supposed melanated people from Africa and enslaved them here. You don't have no proof of that. Only what they've told you. Only what they've told you about the African slave trade. And we still believe we from Africa. And this is why we are having a problem getting control of our own land. We keep begging for reparations. We keep begging them to pay us. It's our land. How you begging them to pay you? You need to take your shit back and then tell them to go on their way, because then we have control. When you know who you are and you understand the true laws, not only just of government, when you understand the true laws of the maxims of law, when you understand the universal laws, then we can really take it back and do what we need to do. But you keep begging for reparations. You keep calling yourself black and African American and Negro and descendant of slave. That is not what you as a copper colored person is. You are an original person of the Americas, an original American. All right. So do I have any questions? Hey, Thomas. Hey, Frank. Eugenia. Todos mi gente de Argentina. Hola. All right. You all have any questions? No? Because I'm going to close it. Questions? Did I miss anything? Let's see. Take a few minutes and let people get their questions. Yeah. And let me say this, because Mel, you were saying basically I'm not a Moor. I'm gonna try to go over this real quick. There's a lot of misinformation on both ends. Okay, El and Bay, they had to do with El means, of course, you know, El means God. Bay is like they were governors over the different barriers of cities or states. Okay, so that's where Bay comes from, and it's like the term is Beglave. I don't know how to spell it, but that's how it's pronounced, Beglave. And and so they were the ones who were controlling everything, and those were Moors, because Moors are the ones who created the counties. You know, again, all of this was up under the jurisdiction of the original people as well, but Moors had a sense of government as well. And so they established a lot of different things, and they is one of the terms that comes from their rulership, Beglerbeg. Yeah, and the other thing I was going to say, there's a lot of misinformation going on about you know, who the Moors are, because, you know, everybody's wanting you to take on the term Moor. I'm a Moor. And the issue is, listen, if we got the original, see, here's the other thing. They want to tell you that everybody was a Moor. Okay, but you told me the Moors came from, you know, Morocco. There was some Moroccan Moors, because Moors really means melanated person. It doesn't mean black. It means someone who has melanin in their skin. That's what it originally meant. But those who are really referring to them as, for example, Moors of Morocco, they just want to say, oh, the original people, they were Moors. Yeah, but they were different people. Okay, it's like, yeah, we might have been all related, but it's like me telling my cousin they can come into the crib and I'm giving him title to have one bedroom in the house, and he take over my whole damn bedroom, or my whole damn house. You see what I'm saying? So that's what it's like. So there's a lot of misinformation, and again, the Moors are not telling you the whole truth, because there's that movement with the Moorish movement where they want you to take on the title Moor. But then if it was the original people that gave the Moors title to be here, then who is it that has the true title? The original people, not the Moor. So if I'm calling myself a Moor, am I really claiming true title to my land? If I'm claiming to be a Moor or of this Moorish movement? No. I'm an original American. And so I'm claiming my land, because I know who I am. I did not come here from, my ancestors ain't from Morocco. They from this land right here. My ancestors ain't from Britain. They from this land right here. So no, I'm not a Moor. I ain't African, nothing. I'm an original American. Copper colored, woolly haired, dark skin, original American. Diva Laree, I'm out. Peace.